So, there I was, sitting in the passenger seat of a brand new, obsidian black Mercedes G-Wagon, the kind of car that costs more than a college degree. And I was parked right across the street from my childhood home, the one I'd been kicked out of exactly 1 month ago. My parents and my golden child sister, Tiffany, were standing on the lawn, their faces a perfect blend of horror and disbelief. A man in a cheap suit was handing my father a stack of official-looking papers, while another man, one I'd hired, was presenting my sister with a giant, ridiculously cheerful birthday cake that read, "Happy 18th to me." Yeah, it was my birthday, the one they canceled. And they weren't just getting a cake they didn't want. They were being served an eviction notice from their own house. You're probably wondering how the hell we got here. Trust me, it's a wild ride. So grab your popcorn, because it all started with a simple, stupid, Sweet 16 level lie. Let's rewind. For 17 years and 11 months, I was what you'd call the reliable child. The wallpaper child. I got straight A's. I worked a part-time job at a local diner since I was 15, and I never, ever caused any trouble. I was saving every penny for two things: a down payment on a decent used car and my first semester of community college. My 18th birthday was this shining beacon of light for me. It wasn't about a party. It was about the starting line of my own life. Freedom. Then there was my sister, Tiffany. She was 2 years older and lived in a different universe. A universe where mom and dad were her personal ATMs and emotional support animals. If Tiffany wanted something, she got it. New iPhone. Done. A designer prom dress that cost more than our mortgage payment? Absolutely. She wasn't just the golden child. She was the sun, and the rest of us were just sad, little planets orbiting her. My parents? They weren't evil, not really. They were just completely blinded by her. They were classic enablers, and I was just a background character in the Tiffany show. So, for my 18th birthday, I didn't ask for much. I wanted to have a small cookout in the backyard with my 5 best friends. That's it. Burgers, a cake, maybe some music. Low-key, cheap, easy. My parents agreed, which, honestly, should have been my first red flag. Nothing with them was ever that simple. The first crack appeared about 3 weeks before my birthday. We were at dinner, and my mom was scrolling through her phone, a worried look on her face. "Honey," she said to my dad, completely ignoring me. "Tiffany just texted. She's feeling overwhelmed. The pressures of her social life are really getting to her." I almost choked on my mashed potatoes. The pressures of her social life? Her life consisted of brunch dates and posting selfies on Instagram. Dad put his fork down, his face a mask of grave concern. "Is she okay? What does she need?" "She thinks a little trip would do her good," Mom said. "Her friends are all going to that Desert Bloom music festival next month. It would be a great way for her to, de-stress and find herself." I just sat there, silent. I knew exactly when the Desert Bloom Festival was. It was the exact weekend of my 18th birthday. No way. They wouldn't. "Well, if she needs it, she needs it," Dad said, nodding seriously. "We'll make it work." I finally found my voice. Guys, that's my birthday weekend. My party." My mom looked at me as if she'd just noticed I was at the table. "Oh, sweetie, don't be dramatic. We can just postpone your little get-together. This is about your sister's mental health. You understand, right? Family comes first." I didn't understand. Not at all. It was a music festival, not a wellness retreat. But arguing was pointless. It was like arguing with a brick wall, if the brick wall thought you were being selfish. So, I did what I always did. I sucked it up. "Yeah, okay. We can postpone it." That was mistake number one. A week later, the second hammer dropped. I was in my room when I overheard my parents in the kitchen. Their voices were low and stressed. I heard words like credit card and maxed out. My heart started pounding. I had saved up $3,000 for my car. I'd given it to my dad to hold in his high-yield savings account because he swore it was safer there. I know. I was an idiot. I walked into the kitchen. "Hey, is everything okay?" They both jumped. "Everything's fine," my dad said, a little too quickly. I overheard. I said, my voice trembling slightly, "Are we having money trouble?" My mom sighed, putting on her best martyr face. "Well, since you're asking, those festival tickets for Tiffany were more expensive than we thought. The VIP passes, you know. And of course, she needed a whole new wardrobe. We had to dip into the savings a little bit. We'll pay it back, of course." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What savings? Dad? Please tell me you didn't use my car money." He wouldn't look at me. He just stared at the kitchen counter like it held the secrets to the universe. It was an emergency, son. Tiffany was so excited. We couldn't let her down. I just stood there, speechless. It wasn't an emergency. It was a party. A party they were funding with my future. My hard-earned money, from greasy late nights at the diner, was gone. Just like that. Spent on floral crop tops and VIP passes for my sister to find herself. You promised, I whispered. And we will pay it back, my mom snapped. Stop being so ungrateful. We put a roof over your head, don't we? It's just money. You can earn more. That night, I cried myself to sleep. Not just for the money, but for the casual cruelty of it all. The complete and utter disregard for me as a person. But I still thought, foolishly, that this was the worst it could get. Oh, sweet summer child. I had no idea. The final straw, the one that broke the camel's back and then set the whole camel on fire, happened on the night of my actual 18th birthday. Tiffany was back from her soul-searching journey at Coachella Light, armed with a new tan and about 100 new selfies. My postponed party had been quietly forgotten. No one mentioned it. My birthday itself was barely acknowledged. I got a half-hearted happy birthday from my mom as she rushed out the door in the morning. That evening, I was home alone, eating a bowl of cereal for dinner. My parents had taken Tiffany out to a fancy steakhouse. Why? To celebrate her amazing trip and renewed spirit. I'm not even kidding. They went out to celebrate her vacation on my birthday. They didn't even invite me. I was sitting in the dark, scrolling numbly through my phone, when a feeling of cold, hard rage started to build in my chest. This wasn't just unfair anymore. This was a declaration that I didn't matter, that I was nothing. On a whim, I went to my dad's home office. I don't know what I was looking for. Proof, maybe? Validation that I wasn't crazy? I started clicking through old files on the family computer. Family vacations, school pictures, and then I saw it. A password-protected folder named Miscellaneous. My dad's password was, predictably, Tiffany1. I opened it. It was full of scanned documents and old email chains. Most of it was boring financial stuff. But then I saw a series of emails between my parents and a name I barely recognized, Eleanor Vance. My maternal grandmother. The family story about Grandma Eleanor was vague and grim. My mom always said she was difficult and unstable, and that they'd had a big falling out years ago. We never saw her. I think I'd met her once when I was 5. The emails, however, told a very, very different story. They started about 10 years ago. It was my dad begging his mother-in-law for money. Not for an emergency, but for a boat. A boat. My grandmother's reply was polite but firm. She said she had helped them enough with the down payment on their house, and that she wouldn't fund their frivolous lifestyle. She told them they needed to learn to be financially responsible. My dad's replies got angrier and angrier. My mom's were full of guilt-tripping and accusations. It was ugly. The final email in the chain was from my grandmother. It was a legal document. She had established a trust fund. For me, it wasn't a massive, life-changing fortune, but it was substantial. The terms were simple. On my 18th birthday, I would gain full, unrestricted access to it. It was enough for a reliable car and all 4 years of a state university, with plenty left over. It was everything I had been working for, and then some. My parents had known about it for a decade. They had hidden it from me. My hands were shaking. They hadn't just stolen my car money. They had hidden a lifeline from me, probably hoping that if I never knew about it, they could somehow contest it or manipulate me into giving it to them. But that wasn't even the worst part. At the very bottom of the email list, there was one from just last week. It was from Grandma Eleanor. It was addressed to me. My dearest grandson, it began. I know we haven't been in each other's lives, a fact that brings me more sadness than you know. But I've been keeping tabs on you from afar, and I am so incredibly proud of the young man you've become. I know your 18th birthday is this week. I would love to see you. I've tried calling, but the number I have seems to be disconnected. I hope this email finds you. Please, call me. My number is. They hadn't just hidden her from me. They had actively blocked her. They had intercepted her message. That was it. The rage in my chest turned into something icy and calm. I wasn't sad anymore. I was done. I pulled out my phone, my fingers flying across the screen as I dialed the number. She answered on the second ring. Her voice was warm and strong. Hello, Grandma Eleanor? I said, my own voice cracking. It's me. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. Oh, my dear boy. I can't believe it. I was so worried. Happy birthday. And for the first time that day, I felt a genuine warmth spread through me. I told her everything. The canceled party, the stolen car money, the steakhouse, the email. I just let it all pour out. She listened patiently, only interjecting with a soft, "Oh, honey," or a sharp, "They did what?" When I was finished, there was a long silence. Then she said, her voice now hard as steel, "Pack a bag. Everything you can't live without. A car will be at your house in 1 hour. We have a lot to talk about." I hung up and moved like a man on a mission. I packed my clothes, my laptop, my birth certificate, my social security card. Everything that made me me. I was just zipping up my second suitcase when I heard the front door open. My family was home, laughing about something the waiter had said. They stopped dead when they saw me in the hallway with my bags. "What is this?" my dad demanded. "Where do you think you're going?" I looked him dead in the eye. "I'm leaving." "Leaving?" my mom scoffed. "Don't be ridiculous. You're not going anywhere. You're 18, you think you can just walk out." "Actually, yeah, I can," I said, my voice eerily calm. "And I know about the trust fund." The color drained from both of their faces. Tiffany just looked confused, her brows furrowed. "What trust fund?" "The one Grandma Eleanor set up for me," I said, turning my gaze to her. "The money Mom and Dad have been hiding from me my entire life." My dad took a step forward. "Now listen here. You don't know what you're talking about. That woman is manipulative and rich, apparently." I cut him off. "I spoke to her. She told me everything. About how you begged her for money for a boat. About how she refused to pay for your lazy lifestyle. And about how you've been blocking her from contacting me." My mom started to cry. The fake, crocodile tears she always used to get her way. "How could you do this to us? After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done for me?" I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You stole my savings. You canceled my birthday for a music festival. You went out for a celebratory steak dinner tonight while I sat here alone, eating cereal. You haven't done anything for me. You've done everything for her." I pointed at Tiffany, who just stood there, mouth agape. "You are an ungrateful brat," my dad yelled, his face turning purple. "Fine. Get out. See how you survive in the real world with no money and no family. You'll come crawling back in a week." Just then, headlights swept across the living room window. A sleek, black town car pulled into the driveway. I smiled. A real, genuine smile. "I don't think I will." I picked up my bags and walked to the door. I didn't look back. A driver in a crisp suit got out and took my bags, placing them in the trunk. He held the back door open for me. As I slid onto the plush leather seat, I saw my family standing on the porch, frozen, their faces illuminated by the car's interior light. They looked small and pathetic. The car pulled away, and I didn't look back. The next month was a blur. My grandmother, Eleanor, was not the frail, crazy old woman my parents had described. She was a powerhouse, a sharp, witty, incredibly savvy businesswoman who had built a real estate empire from the ground up. She lived in a stunning modern house overlooking the city, the kind of place you see in magazines. And she welcomed me with open arms. She was furious about how I'd been treated. "We're not just getting your money back," she told me over breakfast on her sun-drenched patio. "We're going to teach them a lesson in consequences." She introduced me to her lawyer, a man who looked like a shark in a $1,000 suit. He was delighted by my case. We secured my trust fund within days. The lawyer also did some digging. He discovered my parents were drowning in debt. They'd been living far beyond their means for years, all to keep Tiffany draped in designer clothes and fake happiness. And then he found the kill shot. The house. Years ago, Eleanor had co-signed their mortgage. It was a detail she'd almost forgotten. A detail that gave her all the leverage she needed. With a few phone calls, she bought the debt from the bank. She became their lender. Which brings us back to today, my official, rescheduled 18th birthday party. As the eviction officer handed the papers to my sputtering father, the cake guy I hired walked right up to Tiffany. "This is from your brother," he said cheerfully. "Happy birthday to him." My sister just stared at the cake, her face crumbling. All the neighbors were outside now, pretending to do yard work, but I knew they were watching the Tiffany show finally get canceled. My dad saw me then. He pointed a shaking finger across the street. You did this." I just gave him a little wave and hit a button on the G-Wagon's key fob. The lights flashed. His eyes widened as he realized what he was looking at. He was looking at a future I had that he could never touch. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Eleanor. "Happy birthday, my dear. I've transferred your old car savings back to your account, with interest. Shall we go get lunch?" I started the engine. The G-Wagon rumbled to life, a deep, satisfying sound. As I pulled away from the curb, I took one last look in the rearview mirror. I saw my parents and sisters standing on the lawn of the house they no longer owned, surrounded by the wreckage of their own making. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pity. I just felt free. I pressed the gas, turned up the music, and drove towards my new life. So yeah, that's the story of how getting kicked out on my 18th birthday was the best thing that ever happened